Good day. I am me. Hopefully you are you. If not, you will be. Um, yeah, it's a pretty nice view of the mountain right there. The new part of the city is directly behind you. All the casinos, the newer casinos. Older downtown is over there. But yeah, so today is part 2 of me sharing my testimony of my life. So yeah, and anybody that doesn't like anything that I'm saying because you're a part of it, well, that's a you problem, and you need to take care of that, because I'm not carrying this weight for anybody anymore. Yeah, I carried it for way too long, and just everything is yeah, been a lot of it. It's not even my burden to carry, but so anyway, but so the video yesterday, I made it to where I was in 6th grade for like a 35-40 minute video. It took me to talk about that, but and I want to go forward from there, but the Father's telling me to clear up more, be a little more specific, but I don't have to point fingers and give names. So yeah, to give you a clearer picture, and why he wants me to is because everybody has muddied up the water so much in my life with using me as an scapegoat, with putting a lot of things off on me that aren't my burden to carry, my mess to wear. And also part of it is because he said that because they want me to look like the bad guy, so that they don't look as bad or whatever. Yeah, so, and the other part of that is because they've made me wear all my dirt and then some my whole life, even dirt that wasn't even mine to wear. But I'm not mad, I'm not hateful, I'm not even holding a grudge or anything. I actually forgive them for everything they've done, and and anybody that's still trying to do whatever, throw dirt on me, drag my name through the mud, and make me look like the bad guy, or I'm just making up stories and lies, and so I've already wore all my dirt. Most of it's on record, which I'm not proud of a lot of the stuff I've done, but the difference is I've accepted and took accountability for my actions, my faults. I'm not deferring or deflecting anything off on anybody that I've done, and yeah, so pretty much all my stuff has been known, except for the things I've been carrying to save face for other people, which is what I talked a little bit about in the first video, part 1 of my testimony. Yeah, so you need to watch it, and then come back to this one. And I don't label my videos or any of that, because they all have truth in them. My truth, the Father's truth, the real truth that everybody's supposed to know and be accepting, and which is the truth that a lot of people are seeking, because they're tired of all the BS and the lies and deceivement and manipulation, and not just by individuals but by systems and the whole world and everything that they're doing and trying to make you believe. But yeah, so So we still have to stay in the beginning. Hopefully we can get past, you know, where 6th grade, where I made it to yesterday. But yeah, so what I meant by my dad being abusive, you know, not only physically and mentally and emotionally, not to mention spiritually, because, you know, my dad didn't, I don't know if he believed or not, but he never talked about the Father. And if you talked about the Father, he would find somewhere else to go and something else to do. So that doesn't mean that he didn't believe that there was a God. It just meant that he was full of demons that were controlling him, and he carried a bunch of them. I know, you know, and I battled through a lot of the same demons because I'm the chosen one, the curse breaker, and it's not by my choice. That's all by the Father's choice. So yeah, anyway, so his physical abuse wasn't like, you know, where two people get into a fist fight kind of thing, where he was beating you and hitting you wherever, although he would use things. Like, I remember him beating my siblings with a hammer handle, fan belt, shoe brush. It was pretty much whatever he could grab a hold of to hit them with, but he wouldn't, I don't remember him necessarily hitting them anywhere and everywhere. He was more of, you know, you had to drop trowel and it was the butt and the whole back of the legs, and it was kind of like a thing to where he would swing until he got tired. It didn't matter how bad you was hurting or crying. And actually, if I remember right, that kind of fueled his anger, that if you started crying because he thought you wasn't supposed to cry, you know, and they were all kids. They were kids. He was a grown man. So, you know, and the whole children's services and CPS or whatever they're called, wherever you're at, you know, this is back in the 70s, so it was completely different. Because even back then, when you got in trouble at school, the teachers would paddle you in the hallway, or the principal at the principal's office, or the, you know, and the school counselors, and everything was just completely different back then, and whatnot. And everything was meant to be hush hush and not told. And but, you know, I've learned through time, carrying this kind of stuff, this trauma and everything, has not been healthy for me, because I've sought out bad outlets of avenues for things to numb the pain, to quiet the voices, to, you know, just all of this stuff. So, yeah, needless to say that, you know, I did a lot of drug use in my days. I don't use drugs anymore, or drink, or, well, I never really got into drinking, but we'll get to that and why, because it'll come into my testimony, not far from where we're at, but yeah. And then my siblings, almost all of them, drank alcohol, used drugs, and either smoked cigarettes or chewed tobacco. Almost all of them. And then my parents, they didn't do any of that, except for my dad did smoke cigarettes. Of course, he did have the occasional drink, like New Year's or something like that. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, they didn't drink, they didn't smoke dope or do drugs or of any kind. And I believe my brother, you know, my siblings probably turned to alcohol and drugs for a lot of the same reasons I did. You know, to help numb the pain, quiet the voices, you know, to just be able to cope, to have a means of survival, to keep going, because you're stuck in a situation that you're not happy being in. but yet you can't do whatever to get out of it. For one, there just wasn't a place to turn like there are now. But, and I'm not saying that what all they do now is 100% correct and the right way to do things, and you know, but that's a whole nother video, a whole nother story. But yeah, so yeah, you know, and my dad had basically amnesia, because I've tried to talk to him and confront him about things when I got older, and that's about the best way I could put it. He had amnesia. That never happened. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, that kind of thing. You know, and I've tried to talk to my mom about things, and everything was always a deflection, or whatever. You know, everything was pretty much always blamed on my dad. You know, and I'm not saying that both parties, you know, was right, but they definitely, you know, they both had their issues, their things, and you know, so yeah, the whole Jezebel spirit, it's pretty much a rampant controlling spirit in the family that I grew up with and around, and yeah, there was no there was a lot of promiscuity or whatever, you know, there was, yeah. So yeah, didn't have the best role models to be led by, whether it was my parents or even my siblings. But I was the one that they all used for excuse, scapegoat. And in the other video I talk about how, which if you notice, I don't have no hair in this one. I went and got my hair cut. I like to say I lost a bet, but you know, that would be bearing false witness, so that wouldn't be good on my part. But I went and had a haircut, and because of that, he reminded me when I was born with a whitish blonde hair. Not a dirty blonde, not strawberry blonde, not blonde. I mean, it was more like a whitish color blonde hair. And it was that way all the way up until when my parents decided to get my hair cut. And then all of a sudden it turned to a dark brown or whatever. And I have yet to see another child in their picture, baby picture, to where their hair was the color like mine was. And that was the father reminding me of that I was marked and chosen by him before I was in my mother's womb. That was a sign that was given for me and to them, that but I believe that they knew I carried something very special and rare before I even knew what I had and carried. Because I've always been extremely gifted and talented, and I've always been blessed and highly favored and undoubtedly anointed. And I know now that I am chosen and I am marked by the God of the Most High. And I'm not the only one on earth that carries this, that is the same. And he has us scattered about for his own specific reasons, but all of that is becoming known But yeah, other than the only thing I know is that we are going to be some of the earthly leaders to bring about his truth in correcting the systems that we've all bought into that are actually using people. You're being slaved, and you know, all of these things in my other videos that I talk about and that I've been sharing, because this is part of my journey. This is part of his will, his purpose for my life here. But yeah, so they've always wanted me to basically dim my light, because for whatever reason, I guess they thought I don't deserve what, you know, the Father chose me for. That it should have been one of them. You know, and if you know anything about a spiritual walk, there's a lot of videos and people that talk about people out there trying to steal people's destinies, but when you're chosen, you can't steal the chosen one's destiny. And those that do try to do these things, yeah, karma is on a whole nother level when you touch his anointed and his prophets. That's what his word even says: touch not his anointed or his prophets. And that doesn't mean just physically. That means even, you know, speaking verbally about them, you know, even thinking about them mentally, you know, just in any way. And if it's in a bad way, a harmful way, that he disapproves of, the karma that comes at you is on a whole nother level. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, none of us that are chosen chose to be chosen. Yeah, because anybody that's, I mean, there's a lot of people say they want to be chosen, but if you'll listen to my life's journey and everything that I had to go through, these are things that the real chosen ones have to go through. This kind of turmoil, this kind of heartache, this kind of pain, this kind of sorrow. Yeah, there's even a period of being alone and being a complete outcast, not fitting in anywhere or with anyone, and it's all done by design, on purpose, by the Father. Yeah, I mean, we you know, I'll get into more of, you know, I've died numerous times. I've met God face to face, and I don't care what anybody says, that if you say that God is not God, that you can't meet God face to face, because you would be obliterated. And I'm not saying that that's his choice if that's the case, but he's also God, and if he wants you to be face to face with him, he'll make that happen too, because he did with me. And it don't matter what anybody tries to tell me, or what I know, what I experienced. I know what I saw. I know what he showed me. I know what he poured into me. Yeah, and it wasn't like he came here and was some stranger in another body and we talked like I'm talking to the camera here right now. It was, no, this body basically died, and my spirit, the energy, the true me, which is the true everybody, left the body and went to where he is, up there where you see the stars in the night sky, and met him face to face. And he looks just like the star, because he is the North Star. That's why it's the brightest star, because nobody shines brighter than him. It's also why the North Star don't move, because you can't move his throne, you can't shake his throne, and everything spins around it, except for the earth does not spin. But that's in a video that you need to watch some of my other videos. But anyway, I'm kind of getting a little off topic on my testimony. But you know, so, but yeah, um, and I'm not holding anything against anybody, because you know, um, that was all part of what I had to experience. I had to experience all those things from through and with all those people, all those situations, circumstances, everything, because it was all part of, to help my lessons, my growth, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that I had to receive, so that way I can be a better guide and director, and leader, for others, to know there is a better way, and that no matter what you think you went through or whatever, and I'm not saying I went through everything, because there's some things I didn't experience, because some of it was by my choice. You know, like I never joined the military, so I never experienced war combat, you know, actual combat. And that's something that the mind is really not meant to experience or try to endure or any of that. That's why so many people that have been in the military come back from wherever they went and whatever country they're from, they have PTSD, because that's not something that anybody was built to do. Nobody. None of us were actually built to mentally have mental capacity to understand and deal with those kind of emotions, feelings, just I mean, you know, you could go watch a movie and see something, you know, that looks all gory and horrific, and you know, body parts missing and flying everywhere and whatnot, but to experience that in the moment of bullets flying, hearing guns and, you know, cannons going off and whatever, you know, and bombs blowing up, and you know, and seeing that actually happening in front of you and feeling the terror. And we're not meant to, we're not meant, we was never meant to experience nothing like that. That's all man's doing. And you know, that's a whole nother video. But anyway, back to my story. So yeah, so you know, even through well, I guess he wants me to share a part to where, because I am so blessed, favored, and anointed, that I am highly protected, that when I was 5 years old, I just got the gumption to get on my bicycle, and I decided to go for a ride. And I don't mean around the yard or in the driveway, I mean down the road. And not just, you know, to the corner and back, or I mean, I went for a ride down the road. In a sense, to where I was headed was actually to my aunt and uncle's house, because I wanted to go see my cousins that, you know, I seen time to time and wanted to, you know, play and whatever. But they lived a 30-minute car ride away from where we lived. And when I used to do this ride in my teenage years on my bicycle, then it took me 2 hours one way to just ride from where we lived to the town that she lived in. But I was going there to a swimming place to go swimming all day, and then would, you know, ride my bike 2 hours back after swimming all day. But I was 5 years old, and I almost made it there. I was probably, I don't know, maybe only 2 more miles to go and I would have been there. But I got tired. So, but I wasn't thinking that, I was thinking it was still a long ways to go for some reason. So I decided to turn around and go back. But really, it would have been shorter for me to just keep going and show up at their house. But I got tired and turned around and went back. And then I only made it part of the way back and stopped at a bar and went inside and used the bathroom. And the bartender was actually a really nice lady, from what I remember. And she just gave me a bag of chips and a soda. I was 5 years old. It ain't like I had any money. Yeah. And so, my mom and I believe it was my Aunt Kay, my dad's half-sister or whatever, found me or whatever, not in the bar, but outside the bar in the parking lot. I was getting ready to get on my bike to start heading my way back home. But yeah, so even at an early age, I was always a kid that you could take me somewhere. I still am today. You can take me somewhere one time. It doesn't matter. It don't even have to be where I grew up. I mean, you can literally take me anywhere one time, and I can make my way back to that same place. I can find it. Depending on how many turns you take and whatnot, I might not go the same exact way that you took me, but I can find that place. It don't matter what state, what city, in another country. I've always been able to find you. You can take me anywhere. I might not know where I'm at, but I ain't never lost. And back to, so now back to being in elementary, and the whole for a lack of a better word, I wish there was another word I could use for it, but there's really not, for the whole molestation thing that happened to me in 4th grade, 5th grade, by two different siblings. Everything changed at that point for me, to where I started acting out. I started fighting with people, and like I said, back then they just took it as I was a problem child. So I'm only bringing this up, so if you have a child that to be one way, and then all of a sudden they're just acting completely different in such a drastic way, chances are something drastic and horrific happened to them. And I don't know how to tell you to get the child to tell you what happened, because most of it is where there's a lot of fear involved for a lot of different reasons, whether it's somebody imposing fear so the child stays quiet, or the child is just fearful because they don't want more bad things to happen to more people that they care about and love. So I'm not really too sure how to help with that part. But if there is a change in them that kind of way, just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of the blue, yeah, that's so something happened that shouldn't have happened. Put it that way. But then now and then back to when I made it to 6th grade, I have a sibling that was involved in a crime to where a victim died in the crime. And lo and behold, the victim was actually a homosexual person. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's his choice. That's, you know, the father says that we shouldn't do that. You know, sex is only meant for man and woman, and also only in marriage. But that's in a whole nother video. But because of that, and because I grew up in a small town, and in small towns, you know, it's kind of like to say pretty much everybody knows everybody, and everybody pretty much knows everybody's business almost. You know, except for whatever they can keep secret behind closed doors. But, you know, there is no such thing as a secret, because everything done in the dark will come to light. Whether right then and there, or eventually, or even some people might get away with something and it don't come to light until you're before the Father, and you can't hide it, because he knows, because he gave you life, he's in you, so he knows everything that you've done, everything that you do, everything that you said. It don't matter if anybody else was around to see it, hear it, or anything. This is just a fact. Confirmation burp. But yeah, so because his family was from the same kind of area my family was from, and he had family that was almost the same age as I was. Well, because of that happening, it caused even more problems for me. Growing up in school, to where, you know, I started getting bullied, ostracized, and I mean, yeah, it's like bullying on a whole new level. It's not because of the clothes you wear, or the family, or the house you live in, or even though all that didn't help, because I grew up on a junkyard. You know, I grew up in a house that was like over 250 years old. It had the asbestos siding on the outside of it. It had slate shingles for a roof. You know, I mean, it was an old house. So it didn't look the greatest, you know, compared to other people, you know, because that was in the 80s then, to where then it was like the preppy group, and there was the rich families that, you know, kind of pretty much owned and ran everything in town, and if you wasn't friends with them, then you pretty much wasn't anybody, or wasn't gonna be anybody, or, you know, that kind of thing. It's different now than then. And then also, you know, different in a small town compared to a big city like where I'm at now too. But yeah, so yeah, and so then that caused me to be in a lot more fights, because I started fighting because, you know, there wasn't nobody for me to turn to. Nobody was going to stand up for me. Nobody was going to protect me. So I felt like I had to start fighting and fending for myself, and, you know, in a physical manner, because of what happened to me physically. You know, because, yeah. So I didn't want nobody to get in trouble, and I didn't want, nobody to be hurt or whatever. And so this is kind of why, you know, but they're all off on doing their own lives and everything now, and whatever. But yeah, I just can't carry this stuff no more, because I got to make room for what's coming in, my new life that the Father is preparing me for, that they have tried pretty much my whole life to prevent from me receiving and getting and happening. Because if you have somebody in your family and you just know that one person is the one that's going to be the one to be something big, to have a financial freedom like you can only imagine, or maybe even more. They just carry something that you just know that they are different, because they just never fit any social group, no circle. They didn't even fit in their own family. Well, that's me. I am that person. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't choose it. It was chosen for me by the Father. I just had to go through the walk, which wasn't a pleasant one. Most people just want the rewards and benefits that we get out of being chosen, but nobody wants to go through the experiences. Not even the chosen ones really want to go through the experiences, but because they're not pleasant. And because we've experienced so much trauma, horrific, horrible things, and narcissism, and manipulation, and deceivement, and just the lies and everything that goes along with it. But that's all part of what helped us to become who we become in the end. It heightens our discernment and our intuition, and it also enables us to be even more talented and more gifted than what we were if people wouldn't have done all this stuff, because we learn to be able to do things that we probably wouldn't have had to learn if it wasn't for these things. Even though we are already tremendously gifted and talented. And I do mean, like when they say a jack of all trades, that's pretty much what we are in a sense, because there ain't nothing that none of us can't do. We are the kind of people that you show us something one time, and that's all it takes. Just show me one time, I got the gist, I can figure it out from there and learn from the mistakes and everything, and get better without help, even though help is helpful. And I'm not saying that we don't appreciate help, but most people choose to not help us because of whatever their reasons. But it's also made us very loving and kind people, because of our experiences being so horrific and terrible. We don't want anybody else to experience them. This is why we love others, and care for others, and try to help others, and not try to help, we do help. But because of the way the world has taught everybody to be, they take kindness for weakness. They take silence for passivity. They take love is something to be used, abused, because they don't really know what true love is. And when they do get somebody like a chosen one that shows them real unconditional love, that does things for them without wanting things in return, looking for just any of this stuff, we're not in it for our personal gain. Kind of like the videos I'm doing, I don't ask for money. I don't even have a way for you to send me money on there. I don't, because if I do that, then I'm no different than the church that you go to that says that you need to give them 10% of all the money you make, but yet God made everything here, so why does he need you to give him back something that he gave all of us to have, to use while we're here. See what I'm saying? These are things that, but yeah. So hopefully this kind of cleared up a little bit more up to the 6th grade part, you know, to being 12. But yeah, I started getting in so much trouble to where I actually, in 6th grade, asked to go to the bathroom, and they let me go to the restroom. And I went to the locker, put my books in the locker, grabbed my stuff, and proceeded and walked out of the school and started walking down the road and was heading home. Yeah, right in the middle of school. Needless to say, you know, the police picked me up. I tried to tell them I wasn't who they asked me if I was that kid, but you know, they knew better, because I was the only kid walking the streets in a small town that should have been in school that wasn't in school. You know, but yeah, and you know, there was other things to where I was getting so out of control that I broke the school counselor's nose, and you know, I don't know how bad I messed up his leg or whatever, but I know it knocked him down, and fell in a mud hole, and he was hollering about his suit, you know, being all muddy and whatnot, and a dry cleaner and whatever. But I didn't care, because all that went in my head was something that happened to me because of the way he grabbed me from behind and everything, and you know, but yeah, and I even had it out with the school principal and everything. And mind you, I'm only in 6th grade at this time. So after that, the next year, they sent me to what is called CLP, which is a cooperative learning program, which is a behavioral school, because I was doing all kinds of stuff, you know. I threw a chair out the 2nd story window, in you know, actually I was in 5th grade when I did that. But yeah, so I was, you know, I just didn't want nobody to touch me because of what happened to me. And you know, there wasn't nobody to protect me, and I was just I figured out to do whatever I needed to do, and however I needed to do it, to make sure that, you know, this was gonna stop one way or another. You know what I mean? So, but hillbilly handkerchief anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there, because I know the video's gotten kind of long, but I believe he let me clear up enough of that so that when tomorrow I can pick up right there. We'll pick up at, you know, I was sent to a behavioral school called CLP, and we'll get into the things that I experienced and started there. You know, so hopefully everybody's having a beautiful day wherever you're at. Yeah, don't forget to be grateful for whatever you got, and just give the Lord some praise, you know, and have a beautiful, glorious day, and peace, love, and light. Shalom.